Welcome to the podcast where we discuss all about Bethlehem and its future. I'm your host, Ryan Conrad. We're diving into the stories, ideas, and people that make our community shine. So let's talk Bethlehem. All right, we're back with another episode of Let's Talk Bethlehem. Super excited to have Gina Kay with me today. She is the director, correct?
Executive director. We're a 501c3, so yeah, we have an executive director position. So the Taylorsville Apple Festival is actually incorporated, and we run all the festivals under that. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I've got sitting with me the director of the Apple Festival, celebrity status in here today.
There you go.
You've been instrumental in making Taylorsville Apple Festival what it is today. How did you first get involved with event planning and the festival?
Years ago, I had worked at Extension when my son was in 3-year-old and 4-year-old preschool. And I had gotten involved with Extension through Miss Margot. She's actually lives in Bethlehem, Margot Mosley. Mm-hmm. And I worked under her through a Partners in Wellness program that was sponsored by North Carolina State. And so I would go out to the nutrition sites and help teach a nutrition class. And so from there, I met Lenny, which was the director of Extension. And they needed someone to be like a project manager to run the office for the Apple Festival. So the first year I worked with Lenny and Miss Carol Mitchell and worked with them, and they just kind of turned me loose. They said, do whatever you can, and I just kind of went nutso and started calling people. And then by the end of that year, Miss Carol needed to retire, and so I took her place. And then eventually Lenny stepped out, and then we became a 501c3. So instead of just being a committee and a board and that kind of setup, then we actually went to a 501c3.
And what year was that? Do you remember?
We started applying, I believe, in 2008, got our certificate in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So we started running under the 501c3 at that time, and that's when we became a specific charitable organization. And we picked our mission because, you know, when you apply for that, you have to have a mission statement and a mission for your monies to go to. And so we picked the Needy Children's Benevolence Fund in every school in the county. Everybody has one. We also have a fund at Head Start, the Student Success Center, and the Early College now. Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome to hear that, you know, some of that goes to that cause. Did you ever expect the festival to grow as big as it is? I mean, I've heard that on average around 3,500 people come to this every year.
35,000.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, 35,000.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's an estimate, and it has been. And, you know, over the years we've grown, and we've just kind of left that estimate there where it is today. But we had a drone fly over in 2015, and if anybody wants to go to the Facebook page and actually look from the air down, you can see what the crowd is. It's huge, and it's actually grown since then, and we've never, you know, commissioned a drone or anything. We didn't that year either. Somebody flew it over and we're like, hey, we need those pictures. We'd like to see them. But yeah, it's huge. And I always knew that if we put anytime, I've always been a person that sets goals, and anytime you put your heart and soul into anything, you know, and you have the right heart, and to me, it's a mission. You know, the Lord says, do unto the least of these, my brethren, and you've done it unto me in the book of Matthew. And so that's the reason I do the Apple Festival, because you know, there is needy children. I was in the school system here for 12 years. And when you're in the classroom and you see the needs of the children, like when I was there, no one has that kind of money to be able to take care of all of the people that need to be helped. Yeah. You know, everybody tries, and we would all do things that we could, but there's a fund that's needed at school level for the teachers, the teacher assistants, and the principals to be able to fund some of the things that happen to some of the children. There's needs that, you know, is not met by any state or local fund or any type of a federal fund even. So that's the reason that's needed, I believe, in the school system.
Yeah, and then you've got like things like the backpack program and all that other stuff to really help children. So that's really admirable. It's awesome that's, you know, to that cause.
Yeah.
And so, but you were saying like that's kind of an old stat that there could even be like in today's, like it could be more than 3,500 people.
Yeah. We're hoping eventually maybe to expand. We're going to approach the town council again. We did one time to take over like the whole, what I call the loop. And we do need to thin the crowd down. I mean, I hope that what I hope that it does, it actually, gives people a reason to come back if they've came and it's like, oh, it's too crowded. A lot of the elderly people that I've spoken with, some of them are afraid to come now, because we're so crowded. And that's hurtful. You feel bad because it is crowded, and you wouldn't want someone to fall or get hurt. And so if we expanded, I think maybe some of the elderly crowd would come back knowing they had more room to walk and feel more safe and secure. So I understand that there's a need for us to expand. It's just getting the backing of the town council to do so.
Yeah, so you're thinking like adding more real estate or the size of the
we
event.
would go around Main Street if possible, but there's a lot of logistics that has to go with that. You have to get DOT permission. Anytime you shut down Main Street, then that means we would have to have police presence. That would be required by DOT. You'd have to have them on corners because it's a state highway versus Main Avenue Drive where we have it now is not. It's a town street. But you go down Main Street, that's Highway 90. You're going to have police presence at certain places. And there's a lot of legal things that go with the Apple Festival that's just done behind the scenes that, a lot of people don't know what hoops we have to jump through.
Would it be more difficult, just throwing a hypothetical, would it be more difficult to increase the size or spread it out to a 2-day event during a certain time period?
It would be harder to do a 2-day event unless we had, like in some of the areas, like where I'm from the area where there's Hillbilly Days, and like the whole school system shuts down on a Wednesday, and Hillbilly Day starts, and then the kids don't go back to school till Monday. You would have to have, it'd be very hard for us to be having a festival on a Friday and school be in and buses rolling and those kind of things. Our vendors have requested that before, in the surveys that we do, but that's, and you have to realize that means everybody's going to be set up for 2 days. You've got staff that's going to be on for 2 days, and we're a very small volunteer group, and then we use the ROTC at the high school, not only at ACHS, but also at St. Stephen's to do things. And then, that's just a whole nother big thing. Now, we did do that when we used to have the Christmas event. We did do a multiple day event, and yeah, it's a lot to put that on, more than 1 day in a row, especially for the crowd that we would have at the Apple Festival.
You're small but mighty, but also you have to have a village to everybody has to work together. It can't be just Gina doing everything.
Right.
Yeah. So having a well-oiled machine, which you clearly do have, because it always seems, every time I've gone, it seems like very, very smooth.
Yeah.
So,
over the years, ROTC is really, as some of our volunteers have aged out, over the years, we do have a very small group. People would be shocked to know how many people that we have really that is the core group. But we've learned over the years, since we are the Needy Children's Benevolence Fund, what I try to do is I try to pull children's groups in that need funding. So if I need to pay for assistance, like in the ROTC program, they make $1,450 each and every festival. They help us lately ahead of time for a day or two ahead of time, and they are the trash cleanup crew during the festival, which is one of the hardest jobs at the festival.
I can imagine.
So we like to make sure that we're staying with our theme, the Needy Children's Benevolence Fund. We're giving it to people that need money for children to do different types of activities. We've used used church groups for mission work, before, like if they're going on mission trips or if they're trying to go to church camp, different things that they're going to do with their youth groups. We try to pull them in and use them when we can. So we try to keep it like if we do have to pay for some type of something, that it goes still to a children's group that needs help. So.
Okay. Yeah. What would you say are your most popular attractions that people look forward to year after year at these events?
Well, the kids' corner is, a big attraction for the children, and we're lucky. Like the Alexander County school system lets us, give a flyer out, the leading up to the event that week. So the kids are all excited. They get to see all the pictures of those kind of things. The principals lunch out. Like each child in the school system has an opportunity to find their principal in the crowd, and if they're the first one to find their principal in the crowd or their designee, they get to go out to lunch with their principal. So that's always a cool draw. I would say, like for adults, a lot of them like the gospel stage. We've had tour buses come all the way from Charlotte, like churches call and say, hey, we're coming up. Where can we park? And things like that. Shalom Klein kind of anchors our gospel stage now. He has to try to take some of the weight off of us, because we book all the stages. We do all, the whole gamut from beginning to end. So he's really good. He's over the Lighthouse Gospel Music Association. So he has a lot of artists underneath him that he can bring in and change it up. So that's a pretty big draw for a lot of the older adults, things like that. Just the craft vendors and seeing the same people, that they only get to see once or twice a year. With the Apple Blossom now, a lot of our Apple Festival vendors do come in the spring. But, that I believe a lot of people Christmas shop at the Apple Festival. And what's funny over the years, like my permanent vendors, I'll try to keep them in the exact same spot. And, once in a while they'll ask after, 8-10 years, they'll go, why don't you move it to the other end? Just let's see what happens. Usually that's never been a good thing, because then at the end of the day, they'll go, man, I should have listened to you. I should have stayed in my spot. People are like texting going, I wish you were at the festival. I'm looking for you. And because they get used to it, the same position. And so a lot of people come to the Apple Festival just to find their favorite vendors every year, to get that favorite thing. And so we have a big following for a lot of the vendors that come and frequent our town during that time.
And that over 400 booths.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we count each spot as a booth. So you got some people like Yellow Deli, for example, that do like 7 booths. But we're kind of landlocked. We've eked out every little spot that we can, on Main Avenue Drive and the side streets and everywhere. So if we're going to get bigger as far as the booth-wise or attraction-wise, then we're going to have to acquire more real estate.
Yeah.
But each year, the Apple Festival is just, I think everybody looks forward to it. Like, I have some vendors that every year, especially since COVID, I worry, like, I hope the crowd comes. I hope the economy doesn't keep them home. And they're always like, Gina, it's a destination. Everybody knows, it's almost Apple Festival time. We got to go to Taylorsville. And I do believe that they are right, that people do think about that and think, we're going to Taylorsville, 3rd Saturday in October, just mark that off the calendar, And so I do believe over the years that it has become a destination place. And we do have people, some years I've had people call from Canada before saying they're coming down and I know where they can park their RVs. And we have vendors that come all the way from Florida every year. I mean, we have vendors that come from numerous states in the United States just to be at the Apple Festival.
Yeah, it almost makes you think, not only from just brilliant marketing and gathering a team together, it almost feels like timing is so important too. Being fall right before, like you said, right before Christmas, a couple months, people are starting to think about, Christmas gifts plus the weather. Like, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. So how much do you think timing comes into play, like the time of the year?
I think it really does, because over the years, I've always held this standard that I would never move the festival at all, because people are used to it, and that I would never hop on anybody else's weekend like any other large festival. I just don't think that's right. Like, if you plan yours on a certain Saturday, then everybody's used to coming to you. That's their destination place for that weekend. But we have had some large festivals in the state actually hop on our weekend. And I think you're exactly right. It's the timing of the weather and the time of the year. We had one large festival that will remain nameless, that was always in September. And a lot of our vendors would say, our September's great because of this festival, and October's great because of your festival. Well, when they wound up hopping on our weekend and on our day, a lot of our vendors got upset, because then that combined the two. And so now they're trying to determine which one they're going to go to. And I believe, though, the weather pattern, usually in October, like it's Indian summer is what I call it. It's usually really good weather on our weekend. And I can see why a lot of people want to have their festival right there about the 3rd Saturday in October. I understand that, because September for years, has been, and even the first weekend in October, it seems like they're getting rain, or that's when the hurricanes have come through on the coast, and we're getting the aftermath of all the rains. And it's just, we have been blessed. The Lord has blessed it since I've been involved, that we always usually eke out really good weather.
Honestly, I can never, ever, since, and I'm, almost 39. Right. I can't remember in my 39 years knowledge of it ever being bad weather.
Right. This will be the 35th year, and we only had, as far as on the Apple Festival, we've only had like sprinkling of rain. We've never been rained out or anything like that. And matter of fact, I think the last time we really had very much of a sprinkle was on the 25th anniversary, and we were laughing like about any time it's like an anniversary, like a 25th, and this is the 35th year. We're like, we're not even going to acknowledge it's the 35th year. It's just the 30th. We're just going to not even think about it. But but now in the springtime where we've done, this will be our 7th apple blossom, and we did have rain last year, but that was the first time that we've ever had to shut down early because of like rain and storms. It was just really bad day, but we did. But that morning we had people turn out. I mean, it was good until it wasn't. About 1:30 in the day, but we've been blessed. I mean, that's a lot of festivals to have, and the Lord hold the rain off. Like that. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm sure that, especially if you're watching on YouTube, you're wondering why there are 6 apples sitting in front of us. So I thought we would make some fun with this. We can't talk about the Apple Festival and not actually taste some apples.
Right.
So I've got some facts here I'm going to give out, and then we're going to taste them. And this should be fun. So let's.
Yeah, there you go.
So
we need Mr. Deal here right now.
So there are over 7,500 apple varieties grown worldwide. About 2,500 of them are grown in the United States, and only 100 of them are produced commercially. Out of those 100, there are 6 top contenders, and the most consumed. And they're sitting right in front of us right now.
Right.
We've got Granny Smith, Gala, some people pronounce them differently. Red Delicious, Honeycrisp, Pink Lady, and Fuji. So we're going to try those.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is, as we taste them, I'm going to read a little bit of facts about each one.
Okay.
And we're going to, on a scale from 1 to 10, personally rate which one we think is better.
Okay.
So, like, if we absolutely can't even swallow it, that's a 1.
Okay.
And if it's the best thing that we've ever had, it's a 10.
Okay.
So
Alrighty.
Just keep that in mind as we go through it. I'm going to write our scores down, and then we're going to determine between the two of us which one we think is the best.
Alrighty. Well, that sounds good.
Okay, so let's start with the Granny Smith. I've already cut these.
Okay.
And I try to make them small so we don't eat an entire apple by the end of this. So we're going to start with the Granny Smith. It was discovered in 1868 by Maria Ann Smith in Australia when she found a chance seedling growing in her compost pile. It's believed to have originated as a hybrid between domestic apple and a wild European crab apple. It's known for its tart, crisp texture, which I'm getting.
That's what I was going to say. I can understand why it came from a crab apple.
Yeah, it's not sweet. It's almost a little bitter, and it's leaving my mouth dry. Would you agree?
Me too.
The downside, it's prone to sunburn and warmer climates like North Carolina, which can affect its signature green color. In fact, I'm looking at it now.
Right.
I can see a few little spots there.
Yes.
But I don't know. I have my preconceived notion of what I think is going on here. I didn't put these in any specific order. Let me grab a pen. I'm going to rate this one a 4.
That's exactly what I was thinking about, a 4.
4s. 4s across the board. Okay. So the next one, Gala or Gala, however you want to pronounce it. Don't feel like you have to eat all these.
We'll lay him here in ruminants.
It's originated in New Zealand in the 1930s.
Very moist.
It's softer, too.
Goes down a lot easier. It's not like roughage.
A cross between a Golden Delicious and Kids Orange Red Apples. Became the most grown apple in the U.S. in 2018, overtaking Red Delicious. Has multiple variants, including Royal Gala, Ultra Red Gala, bred for enhanced sweetness and color. Popular due to its thin skin, which I have noticed the skin's almost, it's not real chewy like normal.
It's not hard to chew.
It's almost a mild. It's not super sweet. It's real mild too.
But very moist, very easy to eat.
What are you going to give this one?
I think I'm going to give this one a 7.
A 7? Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it a 6. I think we got a sleeper out here.
Do we?
That's going to just wow me.
There's a few of them that I cook with, so I kind of know what they taste like.
Yeah. Okay. Next is Red Delicious. There you go. So, little facts about this. It's the most hated apple.
Huh.
Originally called Hawkeye.
Not as sweet.
I almost can't taste any sweetness to this.
Exactly. Kind of bland.
When discovered in Iowa in the 1870s, but renamed after winning a competition for best tasting apple. There's some dryness to this too.
That's what I was going to say. I think we've been spoiled by like the apples that Mr. Dill and our growers in Alexander County grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Red Delicious is what, like, I grew up seeing a lot of those in the stores as a young child. But
okay, this next factoid definitely checks out. Some critics call it the most disappointing apple because its beautiful deep red color hides the lack of flavor and texture.
Exactly.
It's drying my mouth out more
Me
than
too.
the Granny Smith.
But it is beautiful. Like
Yeah.
when you, like for me, when I have apples all in my kitchen and my dining room, I have apples everywhere in my office. Beautiful apple. I can see how that would be used to draw or sculpt. But yeah, the outside definitely does not reveal what's on the inside.
Yeah. The last piece of information on this is it's still useful. While fresh Red Delicious apples have declined in popularity, they are still commonly used in North Carolina cider production for their natural sweetness. Interesting.
Well, there you go. I think I'll give that one a 3.
I'm right with you. I'm going to say a 3 on that one.
Right.
I think Granny, I thought this was going to be the worst one.
Right. But at least
This
that
has
has some sweetness to it. That
Yeah.
one is just bland.
Yeah, the Granny Smith has got this tartness
Yeah,
to it that the
kick
Red
to it,
Delicious
yeah.
doesn't have. Okay, Honeycrisp.
Right.
All right. I tried to make these thin.
Oh, you're
we didn't-
fine.
Okay. Let's
That's
get
good.
some information on this one. The expensive controversial apple, developed by the University of Minnesota in the 1960s, it's bred to withstand cold climates and introduced to the public in 1991. It's known for its explosive crispiness. It is very crispy. Due to its extra large juice cells, which rupture when bitten into. One of the most expensive apples to grow. It requires more labor, storage care, and precise climate conditions, often making it twice as expensive as other apples. University of Minnesota collected royalties on every tree sold until its patent expired in 2008. It's grown in North Carolina. Western North Carolina. Well suited for Honeycrisp. What do you think?
I like it. I buy those sometimes, actually, like I said, up at the orchard. I think I'm going to give that one a 6.
I'm going to go with a 5 on this
Oh,
one.
really?
I don't know. It's not bitter, but it's just not exploding with flavor like I was hoping it would. But again, I might be a little biased because apples aren't my favorite fruit. I love apples. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Okay, let's do Pink Ladies. I'll just let you grab that one.
Oh,
out
okay,
if
that's
you want.
fine.
That way I don't have to touch your
Oh,
apple.
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
If I get it out, there we go.
Pink Lady. It's trademarked. Developed also in Australia in the 1970s. A hybrid of Golden Delicious and Lady William apples. It's not just a name, it's a brand. The name Pink Lady is trademarked, meaning only apples that meet strict quality control standards. Sold as Crips Pink. Also, that's what they're called, Crips Pink. They require more sunlight, longer growing season than most apples, giving it a high sugar content. I can taste it. And signature sweet tart balance. It's grown in North Carolina. Henderson, North Carolina is one of the state's top apple producing regions. Successfully grows Pink Lady apples.
I think that's a 5 for me. The Honeycrisp is a little
Okay.
bit.
5 for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this one a 6.
Okay.
I like it. Okay, and then last but not least is the Fuji. Yeah, I got to say, this one kind of looks like, and maybe it's just the one I picked. It kind of looks like a potato, a red potato. Okay, so the Fuji is considered the super sweet apple. So let's find out.
I'm not tasting it real sweet. Are you?
Not really. Maybe it's the time of the year because we're still kind of stuck in the winter. But
it's definitely not sweeter than some of the others we've tasted.
I do kind of like the texture on this. It's nice and soft.
All right.
It's easy to chew. Developed in Japan, obviously, in the 1930s. Cross between Red Delicious and Rawls Janet apples. It wasn't brought into the U.S. until the 1980s. One of the sweetest apples containing up to 18 grams of natural sugar. I'm not getting that.
I'm not either.
In fact, I'm not getting a whole lot of flavor at all.
Me either. That, like I said, some of the others that we have tried are definitely more sweet. I can tell, you know how we thought this was kind of bland? Mine's a little bit on the bland side. I can tell it's a mixture of the Red Delicious and something else.
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell that. And it's a little meaty-like.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So some of the others that we have tasted, actually the Honeycrisp and I think the Gala are sweeter than this one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So what's the vote for you on that one?
I think this one's a 4 for me. What
I'm going to do a 4 on that one as well.
Okay. There you go.
I was a little underwhelmed with that one.
Me too.
Okay.
So maybe it does look like a potato. No, I'm just kidding.
We have a winner. It looks like the Gala or Gala apple is pulling out the win for this.
Definitely.
So if you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments what's your favorite apple.
I think the Gala and the Honeycrisp are my two favorites out of all that we've done.
Yeah.
I like those two.
So I think the second highest was the Pink Lady for me. Yep.
And my two are the Gala and the Honeycrisp. Yep.
Cool. All right. So I wanted to go into something that I don't think the public has heard about at all yet.
Okay.
And that is Springfest.
Yes.
So this is a brand new event coming in May of 2025 at the newly renovated Bethlehem Park. The Bethlehem Lions Club is leading the effort, and I know you've been guiding them in planning. What is your vision for the event?
Well, I hope that it's a good turnout for the first event. And I think if you're building off of the Bethlehem Days, I believe, and we just get the word out that the venue is in a different area, I think that you'll have a good turnout. And I think just like from the vision that I've heard when I met with the Ruitons and the Lions Club together, you know, they want this to be a community event. They're not looking to be the Apple Festival or anything, but they're wanting the whole community to turn out, to make it like a community building kind of, and I think that would be really nice, especially where you have so many new families moving into the area, that it would be great for everybody to come together in one location and let this grow and grow and, be like this community event to where everybody can come out, see their neighbors, see their old friends from high school, those kind of things. And so that's what I envision it to be for Bethlehem. I think that would be really nice if we can build it to make it be that. And I know that we're hoping to include a lot of the local homegrown vendors. I've gotten some, I've been using some of the vendor lists from my Apple Festival and tried to pick out people that are actually here in our community, in our town, not only the food trucks, but also the other vendors as well. So that way they could maybe feel like a community event as well, too, instead of some big, huge festival they have to go and perform at kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what will happen this year.
Yeah. Well, I, for one, when I heard that you were helping with this, just was super excited because of just your wealth of knowledge, and it's just going to help us so much, and we really need all the help we can get.
I think it'll be a fun. I think it'll be a fun day, and I'm hoping the car show and everything will draw in. You need things for the men to do as well as the women, and those kind of things. And if we can have the rides and have things for the children to do, and then they can enjoy. I mean, the playground equipment is just beautiful. I was able to.
We'll put some pictures up here and show that for sure.
Yeah, I think it looks really nice.
I think this is correct. There are craft vendors, food trucks, pickleball tournament, performance from the ACHS chorus, maybe.
Well, I know your dad was going to be talking to them about that, so I don't know if that's going. I haven't heard that part yet. So.
Okay. A vintage car show and maybe an appearance of the Red Suit Railroad Shuttle, maybe.
Well, yeah, we're going to be talking to the train to see if he's available. Yeah, there's a few things that we were waiting to one more meeting from the Lions Club, and then going to move forward there, and that's kind of the week that we're in. So I'm gonna talk with them, and we'll move forward and see who we can and cannot get. And we have a pretty vast vendor list of people we've used over the years. So sometimes if somebody's booked, we can pull from something else. And
So the Bethlehem Lions Club and the Ruertons are joining together to help do this. And just to let all the listeners know that all the proceeds is to go to support the visually impaired, food pantries, and aiding Helene victims. Which what impact do you hope this event has on the community?
Well, I just hope, like I said, I hope that it becomes, you have a lot of new families. This would be a really good way to engage them and show them that, hey, this is a community that I want to be a part of, that I want to be involved in. A lot of people, if they will come, and as it grows, that'd be a great way for, people to get involved in rec ball, the children, and different things like the dance troops come, and, if they start to perform here and things like that, to show them what Alexander County, like the best of what Alexander County has to offer for them in the Bethlehem community. I think that's a really good way to showcase, what Bethlehem has, like in their school system in this area, those kind of things to all of the families that are coming here.
Yeah. I've got a flyer here that I volunteered to put together, but I don't have, nobody's seen this yet. I might display this up.
Yeah, this looks really good. I haven't seen it yet either. I knew you guys were going to be working on it.
Yeah, so this is the logo that I was working on for it, nice and retro and sort of
exactly right.
springy. I don't even, is springy a word?
It's a word for me and you.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So for, and obviously I don't want to post this anywhere because I want to make sure that we get all this stuff correct before I send it out to other people. But
we want to make sure we have commitments from things. I know, that time of the year in May, a lot of the school system is involved in getting ready for EOGs and EOCs and all of that. So I haven't spoken with your father yet to see if he's contacted any of them. And if not, I can do it for him. But we just, we need to start securing everybody in stone. I have been mentioning it to some of our vendors that we're going to propose to try to come and help support. That's what we need. We need vendors that will help support it and help it grow, to be able to stay for the long haul, Always usually your first year when you start out on something, same way it was when we started the Apple Blossom. The vendors asked us, would we do a large event in the spring? And we're like, well, you got to stick with us. It's not going to be an Apple Festival crowd. You've got to build on something.
Right.
Same thing with Springfest. We need people that'll want to stick with us and help you all to build it and become what it can be.
Yeah. So for any of the listeners, if they want to contact, who would they contact about getting a vendor on this?
They can contact me since we already have the office set up at 828-632-2999. That's the Apple Festival office. And then if someone in the Lions Club wants to be the point person, we can always transfer over there, or I can head it up, whatever your father needs me to do. But as of right now, that would be a good contact number, and we could, gather the information there at 828-632-2999. And if you call and leave a message, you will hear that it's the Apple Festival office, but just say I'm calling about Springfest on May 17th, and we'll be able to differentiate, what we need to do with it.
Awesome. What do you think makes a great festival event? Are there any key elements that just you always try to include in
I always try to include the best parts of the county, the best things that we have to showcase to the people. I've had actually two people stand out in my mind, two families that said they actually moved to Alexander County. It's going to make me cry because of the exposure of the Apple Festival. They said that they came for years, and it just felt like a place they wanted to live and bring their children up in. And I remember the one family met me at my office at Liberty, and they were looking at sheds, and the mother started speaking to me. And after she realized I usually wear some type of Apple Festival T-shirt, a lot of days, and she said, and she had shared with me that that's the reason they moved here. And she said, we're so excited we can ride our bicycles to the festival this year. But it makes you feel feel good that, that is your goal, is to try to, we need young working families to move here. We need, people with children to be in our school system, to continue to let our county grow. And it's great for retirees to move here too. And we want to showcase what we have to offer them as well. But when you hear the young families with children and they're excited to be here and wanting to be a part of what Alexander County has, I think that is my goal at the Apple Festival, besides raising money for the needy children, is I always like to showcase what the school system can offer the children. We have a lot of wonderful things that we offer people if they'll just give us a chance to be able to show them, and include them.
I love that so much about just community. I mean, that's what this podcast is all about, is just community and trying to bring people together and let people that have done extraordinary things, maybe they're small but mighty things, and let the community know about these people, about what's going on, and be more informed.
Exactly.
And I mean, that's what this whole podcast is really about. Yeah. So I love that. For anyone who's ever thought about organizing a community event, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
You have to be dedicated. It has to be a passion. It needs to be, like for me, it's a mission, because I know the Lord wants us to help needy children, needy people, the less fortunate, those kind of things. So I think you have to have a goal. You have to have a servant's heart. I mean, you really do. That's the way I was raised. I was saved when I was a little girl, and I believe we're here to be servants, to be hands and feet for the Lord. And so I always, there's a lot of long nights and a lot of when you're there by yourself doing all the paperwork or doing all the emailing or all the contacts that you're having to do. I get tickled. Sometimes I'll work on the Apple Festival 2 and 3 in the morning, and I'm sending out emails, and you think, okay, well, they'll email me back tomorrow and I can react. Well, people are up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning emailing me. It's so funny. But you have to be able to, you'll have to put the time in. It's not an easy task. There's a lot to it, and a lot of behind the scenes, and a lot of hours. I know when our office used to be below the radio station, one time I think Rick said something about Gina Kay's keeping vampire hours. Like, he'd come in for the morning show, and I would have the parking spot that he usually gets, and I've been up all night, working. I'm still there because it's there's a lot to it.
That's a labor of love sometimes.
Exactly. You have to have a passion for it, or you probably wouldn't put all that time into it.
Yeah.
Or wouldn't want to.
I've got a few closing questions here that I'll ask, and then we'll close it up. But what's the craziest or most unexpected thing that's ever happened at the Apple Festival?
The craziest thing was years ago when my son was Ethan will be 28 this April, and he was in second grade, if I'm not mistaken. We had the wind come through the Apple Festival. You were probably very small, and it came like a tunnel through the Taylorsville Times parking lot in the back of Walker Insurance Building, and we had Pinnacle Amusements here, and they were up to state code. Everything was sandbagged the way it was supposed to, barrels of water and everything. And the wind caught the moon bouncing up and over the building and hung it in the power lines on Main Avenue Drive from the back of the parking lot in between Taylorsville Times and Walker Insurance. And I was on the other end of the festival because the wind was picking up. And I remember one of the police officers was going down through there with me, and he heard, I guess, on the radio. Anyway, he's like, Gina, you need to go back up there. You've got a moon bounce flying, and I was scared to death, and we went running, and everybody started taking their tents down. It was just this horrible gusts of wind that came for a few minutes.
I've heard this happening.
Oh, yeah, and it scared us all to death. And what was kind of funny is we had hired Serper, the Carolina Panther mascot, to come and perform. And he did that for several years for us. But he had just come in on his little Kawasaki or whatever kind of little motorcycle it was. And no sooner than he got almost to the information booth, all he got done for the hour that we had paid for him to be there was help get the kids out. Like, he was down on the ground, and around the area and stuff. And that's all he got done for us that day. But thank the Lord, nobody got hurt. It was just an act of God that nothing ever came of it. All the children were fine. But that was scary. And as soon as that was over that day, I said, never again will we ever have them unless they're staked down in the ballpark. It's just safer that way. But that was probably the craziest, most scariest thing that ever happened. Because you want to have a great, wonderful family fun-filled day, and when something like that it makes you realize I have a responsibility here, and I've always tried. That's the reason I work such long hours. I try to have contingency plans for anything and everything that can happen. And if something does happen during the day, very small or very large, I've usually already thought about it, know exactly what I'm going to do, and this is how we're going to handle it, and this is how we're going to fix it. And so it looks like it comes off perfectly, but there's a plan behind every little thing that might happen during the day, and we try to seamlessly fix it before it, so that's the way I do it. And I get a thrill out of, I guess, pulling it off and making it be thinking, oh, it's a wonderful day again. Let's move on to next year, just to see if every year we can pull it off exactly like we did before. That's the fun part of it.
Well, and from the outside, it looks like year after year after year you pull it off. So.
Well, I think the Lord has blessed us. I mean, there's a lot of prayer that goes into the festival beforehand, and just because I think that He knows that all of us that work, the core people, that we all do have a mission, and we do, know that we need to be servants and hands and feet for the Lord. And I do hope that throughout the years, the principals have always told me how they've used the money. We always meet the principals in December, and we give the money above what we need to keep for operating costs for the next year to start over. We give the rest to them, and they're always forthcoming, telling us how they've used it. And I believe that they use it well. So we're tickled with that.
Yeah. That's great. So on the day of the Apple Festival, what is Gina doing? What are you doing? Are you just...
I'm just buzzing everywhere.
Buzzing everywhere?
Usually we're up on Friday night. We let people start setting up at 6 p.m. on Friday evening. So a good evening is if we get in the bed by 1:30, 2 o'clock. But normally that doesn't happen. So normally what I'm doing is trying to finish everything, go home, take a shower, and we come right back. We usually don't sleep till Saturday evening.
Oh,
so
bless your heart. Oh, my God.
And no cooking on Sunday. All the people at the festival, at the end of the festival, always say, here, Gina, take this home. So at least I don't have to cook on Sunday. We can just relax, after the festival. So,
what is your, I don't know, like if you participate in the food there or trying the foods, but what's your one go-to food at these
usually,
festivals?
My anxiety level is high all day.
You don't eat anything?
Well, I used to try, and it about make me sick a lot of times because, if you're very anxiety ridden and my esophagus is just tightened up, I can't hardly swallow. My husband used to go, here, at least take a bite. And then I'm like, no, I can't do it. But usually every year, because, you can't get a bloomin' onion hardly anywhere around here unless you go to Hickory. Definitely not in Taylorsville. You can't hardly find one. So every year I make sure that I at least get a bloomin' onion, and I rest for just a few minutes, and I'll eat my bloomin' onion, and then I move on. And that's probably about the only thing. And then at the end of the day, like I said, some of the food vendors will save me they're like, here, take this, take that. And then I wait till I get home and I relax, and then I'll eat a little something. But my bloomin' onion, I've got to get one of those. And a lot of times now, a Mexican corn from Sergio. I love my Mexican corn.
I tell you what, I'll back that right. I love a bloomin' onion.
I do too.
Oh, yeah.
If I ever become a food vendor, I would love to do bloomin' onions.
Yeah, that smell of the onion. Yeah. Oh, my gosh, it's so good.
And the ranch. Oh, yeah.
And it's either that or a corn dog. I love corn dogs too. But
now the Mexican corn, the way they fix it, Sergio has come to other festivals for me as well, and he does a really good job of that too. So yeah. It's addicting.
Okay, well, I've got one question.
Okay.
One remaining question. If you could add one dream attraction to the festival, no limits, what would it be? No cost implications, nothing. You can have whatever you want.
Like one attraction, or I would love to have a whole huge fair, like hard rides is what we call it, the big mechanical rides, if we had the room. I would think that would be so cool if we could incorporate like a fair type feel to the festival. That would be great. If I just had to pick one, I did see a really cool blow up the other day, and I'm actually going to talk to our company that we use for blow ups and see if she can get it. It was called Bobbing for Apples, and it was the coolest thing. It was like these two apple barrels on the end that were kind of like open, and it's this long blow up, and in the center is like an apple, and it's open on each side, and the two people on each end are bungeed, okay, around their waist, and they have to run as hard as they can, and jump down and lean down inside that open apple
my
and get as
gosh.
many apples as they can before it jerks them back to where they started from. And I thought that is the coolest thing for an apple
That's
festival.
incredible.
So right now, that my goal is to do that. I think that would be a cool thing to do over where the school's principals set up, and kind of have like a competition. And each year we could like pass the trophy around to whose principal, carried the trophy home this year.
You're going to have to make that happen.
I know. I'm going to check into it. We actually even looked to see how much it would cost if the Apple Festival invested. It'd be an investment over the years if we could have contests with it every year. So we may see about getting that for the fall.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, there you have it, folks. Gina Kay in the flesh. Hope y'all enjoyed this one.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, honey.
Yeah, absolutely.